around. There are others, people like Amy Winehouse, who didn't. Is there any way that somebody can be protected from and be saved, in a sense, stop what happened to her?
No, you can't save anybody that's in a place that, a person who doesn't want to help themselves. There's nothing you can do for them. And anybody that was around somebody like Amy Winehouse who maybe feels guilty or whatever at this point, or us placing blame on a manager or whoever, well, you shouldn't have allowed her to do that. She's going to do it. Those people,
But you yourself, when you describe your own managers, you say if someone entrusted with the care of the band had actually cared about the health of any of us, guns would have been pulled off the road and put into therapy years ago.
A lot of my book, I see the humor in the story too. So when you read the words, excuse me, yeah, if a dialogue would have been started, perhaps, about, hey guys.
But they're after the gold.
What's that?
You use the expression gold. They're after the gold. They're interested in the gold.
We're making money right then, and there's a whole line of gigs coming up that's going to make those managers a lot more money. They're a little less apt to maybe say, let's pull it off, let's pull it back, get you guys. Maybe you guys can talk about getting healthy, Duff,
right.
Now, even Slash's ex-wife, Perla, basically echoed what Duff had to say. So during the time that she was together with Slash, she was his manager, and she revealed how she was different from a lot of other managers who echoed Duff's sentiments. So according to Perla, she was closely involved in Slash's business affairs during their marriage, and she expected that her role in the business would remain intact even after they split. She said, I thought that when we were separated, at least for the first year of our separation, I still worked for him, referring to Slash, and I still worked for our companies. And I thought I'd always be a part of that, she said. Because when I looked out for Slash, there's a difference between someone like me and a difference with someone like your average business manager per se. Your average business manager is looking at you like, holy shit, I need to make as much money off you right now because I don't know the day you're going to fire me. I don't know when I'm going to get other clients. I don't know what's going on. So I'm going to basically let you make shitty decisions as long as it loads my pockets. With me, it wasn't like that. I wouldn't let him make shitty decisions. I was always looking for it as long term. And for me, with him, and even if I was still representing him, now it wasn't about give me a $2 million advance up front. It was like, hey, I'd rather have a bigger percentage along the years than a percentage up front. But yet everybody else around him wanted a percentage up front. So our divorce had become really quite nasty and political. And it's due to those other people and influences. And it's other people's interests. Other people's interests are benefiting from our sadness and our children's sadness and the destruction of our family. And what the worst part about the divorce is that now I get to see it. He sadly doesn't. Now, if you guys have seen one of my previous videos, it wasn't just Duff who felt like the band shouldn't have been on the road. Even Axl himself gave a couple interviews where he alluded to the fact that Guns shouldn't be on the road. They had an overzealous manager who booked the tour without his consent. And it wasn't just the interviews he gave. Even some of the shows during the early Use Your Illusion days, Axl had a lot of venom towards Alan Niven, who had then been fired by the band. So let's go through some of the shows. So Guns N' Roses played a show in Richfield, Ohio on June 4th, 1991. And he gave a rant that said the following. He's like, I know you guys want to hear a lot of bullshit raps, so I'll explain real quickly what we're doing with these shows here. Due to the pressure from my, how should I say it, ex-manager who wanted to make sure we toured and didn't give an F to watch out about didn't give an F to watch out about when the record was done. So we're out here before the record is done, but it's a good thing, and we want to make sure that we're not ripping you people off, and when we come out, you get the most. And then in a show he played 2 weeks later in Landover, Maryland, Axl said, due to an overexcited manager, we're out on tour, but that excited manager is now fired, so I don't mind so much being out on tour, but I would have liked to have gotten the record done. And since we've all waited such an effing long time, we figure we'll play our tour whether you've heard it or not. Then at a show that Guns N' Roses played at Costa Mesa, California on July 25th of 1991, Axl said, we've been basically pairing the old and the new songs since we were out on tour, since we had an overexcited ex-manager, or rather greedy ex-manager. I love that word ex-wife, ex-manager. And then finally, Axl's final rant about him came on February 1st, 1992 in Chandler, Arizona. Axl said the following. He said, have you ever been let down by, I don't know, family, friends, something you wanted, or maybe just life in general? You know the mood I'm talking about. When someone you like maybe your friends were over or something like comes on effing TV, something you like but don't care about because you're just not in the mood, it doesn't matter. You've been let down. I mean, it's kind of like this band Nirvana, why this teen spirit, why this song is such a success, because people relate to being let down. They say, oh, why are you always late? I don't know, maybe I'm always in a bad effing mood about something. This is my life and this is my love, and sometimes it doesn't mean anything to me because I'm just too effing bummed out. You know how that feels? You know how that feels, right? Sometimes there's a lot of people trying to make sure that you're so effing bummed out that you can't do something like have a rock show. And Axel echoed these sentiments in a 2011 interview with Eddie Trunk. Here's what he had to say.
There's not a lot of bands doing that right now. But for you, Axel, what is the preparation like day of a show, like before you're getting ready to hit that stage, in the time before you go on?
Well, not complaining or to be a wuss or whatever. Just a lot of times, day of show, for some reason, everything starts going wrong. People are making mistakes that you have no idea. You're making mistakes, they're making mistakes, and nobody even knows why. It's like things that you go, well, I should know this. It's like everybody gets hit by ADD or whatever, and so you're trying to sort through that and get yourself in the right headspace and physical, whatever that you got to, work through. It's more like sports, and having to play the big game, And, I think we're doing better, as far as that goes. I mean, a lot of this goes way, way back, though, to 91, and where we were super late going on stage. And that really more has to do with I should not have been on tour. I only went on tour because of 3 reasons. My manager had booked a tour without authorization. He just booked a tour, and then I'm going to be sued for it. He was also telling me that if Slash dies of heroin or whatever, it's my fault, and Slash pushing me. And I should not have agreed to that tour, but I didn't know how to get out of it after it was booked. And the only thing that started cutting down the late times was when I realized it was really being hard on the crew. The band didn't care about me, so I wasn't that. My head wasn't about them. The public had, like I said, was a different kind of violent crowd. There was a back and forth thing, whether they wanted you to succeed or tear you apart. But the big thing was that the crew was having trouble that was really supportive of me, and they weren't getting enough sleep. And I didn't want anybody getting hurt. And once that happened, I started getting myself figuring out a way to get there sooner. But it was also about trying to get the album done, get the album out. There was a lot to what was going on there. And then I lived right behind my school, and I couldn't make it to the class in grade school. I had a job at the grocery store down the street, and I'm running down the street with wet hair trying to tie my tie and a sandwich in one hand.
I was going to say, has it been a lifelong thing since you were a little kid?
Yeah.
It has been, right?
Yeah, it's a comic.
So why would Axel and Alan Niven clash so much, and how would Slash allow him to be fired? So Alan and Axel would clash according to one insider, and that was no secret. Alan stands his ground. Alan doesn't kiss anybody's ass. He really doesn't say what you want to hear. He says what should be heard. And it came to a point where Axel had really just had enough of Alan Niven. I think maybe Doug Goldstein sat back at the time, according to Last of the Giants, and said, maybe I want to be the guy in charge. Maybe I want to be the one with all the power, and maybe I want to be the one making all the money. And Axel was also close to being done with Alan. Then Doug stepped in and kind of went with it. So one of the insiders said, I mean, what would all of us do at that time in our lives and at that age? They were getting to be one of the biggest bands in the world, about to do one of the biggest tours of all time with one of the biggest records of all time. I don't know what all of us would do if you put us in that position, because Axel was saying, he's done, I want him out, and he knows Doug couldn't fight back. So Doug Goldstein would end up taking over Guns N' Roses manager just as the Use Your Illusion tour was warming up. Now, one thing that compounded the distance and the friction between Alan Niven and Axel was the fact that Alan would sometimes party with the band as well. In fact, he indulged in some of these substances that the band members were doing, at least according to the book Last of the Giants. And he told John Houghton in 2011, we make choices every day. With Use Your Illusion, Slash made a choice, and I totally understood it. referring to the fact that he let Axel bring Doug Goldstein in, and to this day I don't agree with it. Speaking now, he recalls an event that made him understand the politics of the band had shifted irrevocably from the original one-for-all gang mentality. One Friday night when he and Slash went to see Albert Collins, the blues guitarist, and he said, I came crawling home on Sunday afternoon so jagged on coke I had to take an ecstasy pill to get down. At one point on the lost weekend, they were sitting alone together in Slash's Laurel Canyon house. Here's the thing, says Niven, you can never remember a single conversation you have on coke, but I remember very clearly that what Slash and I talked about. The main thing was that he was really upset about how things were going with Use Your Illusion. He felt that one song of that epic kind of style might be appropriate, but so many, I was trying to persuade him that he really needed to articulate that to Axel. He looked at me and he said, my dad got a cupboard full of gold and platinum records and he doesn't have a pot to piss in. I'll do what I have to get the check. I'll compromise. And that's where he folded, and from then on, Axel was in charge. At the same time, though, the distance between Alan Niven and Axel was growing as well, something exacerbated by the fact that Doug Goldstein's relationship with Axel was drawing closer. Now, Slash could see another power struggle was developing, and he said that was a volatile situation that was going to explode at some point. Alan wasn't going to take Axel's shit, and Axel could not stand that, so it was a battle. I think in hindsight, although it wouldn't have been any fun, but all we could have done differently was just to refuse Axel on everything that he ever wanted, and I don't think it would have been very productive at all, but all things considered, what we ended up doing was going along with a lot of stuff just in order to be able to continue, which built a monster. So that does it for today's video, guys. Thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And do you think if Guns N' Roses had kept Alan Niven as their manager, what do you think would have happened on that Use Your Illusion tour? Let me know in the comment section below. And be sure to go check us out at gnrcentral.com for the latest Guns N' Roses news. Take care.